Going all the way back to what, Stan Lee originally created when he made the X-Men who they were, it was an opportunity to tell a really unique kind of hero story.
Protecting a world that hates and fears them, it's a hard thing to do. To be that kind of grown-up when people are disparaging you and hating you for something that you have just no control over.
And that's what makes the X-Men so heroic, because their heroism is a step beyond most other superheroes. It's one thing to be a hero and be revered by the population and loved by the public and parades in your honor. But it's another thing to be a hero and do the right thing when everybody hates you and fears you.
That sense of alienation, that feeling that you don't belong, even though you desperately want to, is something that, that's really part of what makes being a human being. And so touching into that and touching into having to do the right thing despite the fact that everyone around you says that you're wrong, it really, on many levels, is sort of the soul of what it is to be a hero.
It takes a strength of character to stand up and say, I forgive you, and I'm going to fight for you, and I'm going to protect you because you deserve to be protected. Even if you wouldn't stand up for me, I'm better than you. I'm going to stand up and help you. You deserve it because you're a person.
The X-Men are the ultimate outsiders. They're fighting a war where they have no allies and the world's against them. And it's tragic and compelling at the same time.
Being able to capture that and embody that in the X-Men is probably one of the many reasons why they're as popular as they are.
The X-Men traditionally don't always get along. In fact, they fight a lot.
The squabbles between the X-Men are part of the reason that I always wanted to read them and tune in.
I like to think of the X-Men as sort of an ongoing dinner party. You just say the wrong thing and it's going to blow up the wrong way.
The fact that, they bicker just like my family is something that I identify with.
One of the secrets about families is that they're the thing that we need the most and also that aggravate us the most at the same time.
If you're in close quarters with these people, you're going to have problems, you're going to have issues, things are going to come up.
Add to that the possibility that they're going to be hunted down or that someone's going to attack them or they have to get out there in order to protect the world and still have those things. That argument that they were having back in the mansion, then gets carried off into whatever adventure that they're going to.
I think that's very human. It's human that, you're not going to be some robot who's just like, we're going to fight the battle and then it'll be over. Good job, sir. Like, no, you're going to be talking about, what you did back at the corner, or why did you do that at home, or did you put the laundry away, or, gosh, can't you ever take an order?
There's questions of leadership between members of the X-Men. There's sometimes an issue of trust between the X-Men and Professor Xavier, which comes out in this story also. So that makes for really interesting character dynamics and conflict between the characters that sometimes mirrors or contrasts the conflicts that they have in the larger world.
There's something fun and I think identifiable about that, that you can see your family when you look at the screen, but with mutant powers.
They're all very left-of-centre people. When you look at the lives of each of these characters, they can't be any other way.
We have Cyclops, who is traditionally the leader of the X-Men, and he fires these amazing rays out of his eyes. He has a visor that helps him control them.
He is this hero who is kind of struggling with being a hero. He just doesn't know if he really is the leader that he wants to be. So he's always got the weight of the world on his shoulders.
This is a guy who's been trained by a partly mad telepath in a wheelchair to be the best superhero in the world since the age of 12. But what does that do to your head? We're not giving you a whole lot of choice about this. You're going to lead the X-Men and you are going to be the best superhero in the world. despite the fact you can't look at anything without burning it. You will wear these huge pieces of ruby quartz over your eyes. You will never see the world in a color other than red for your entire life.
We have Wolverine, who's the best-known X-Man with his cool animal powers and his adamantium claws.
He's that fun character who's just gonna say what's on his mind. He brings everyone down to earth when things get too crazy. You know, when Cyclops is too mopey or sort of, you know, hyper-focused, he brings him down to earth.
When Scott does something that Logan feels is out of character, Logan will actually call him on it. He's like, I'm much more comfortable with you basically being Ron Howard in Happy Days. Don't do that, I will throw up in your visor. Don't do that, that's just wrong. It's almost like they're trying to trap each other in the interpersonal relationship they started with, and they're not gonna let each other grow because they're kind of comfortable with the way things are with this mutual admiration that is mostly expressed as hate.
You need that plain-spoken person who's saying that this is crazy in a group, in a family.
Wolverine he's Wolverine. I mean, he's 100 years old for a start. I mean, have you got any very old relatives? Are they completely there?
Beast, who is our kind of, he is what his name says he is. He's a big, giant, blue cat, basically. He has like advanced dexterity and agility and strength.
Beast is cool because he's got this sort of animalistic look and powers, but he's also really smart and an amazing scientist.
Henry McCoy, he's a mad scientist. He's a mad scientist with no controls or limits put on him. He's a crazy guy with all the resources in the world and no supervision.
Storm, who is this kind of weather goddess who, you know, has control over the weather. She's this kind of serene, grounding presence in the X-Men. Almost like a mother figure, able to sort of calm everyone down.
From some perception, she's almost the mutant story made good. She's the orphan urchin from Cairo who was then worshipped. The only mutant ever to have been worshipped with that mutant holding a gun to people's head first as a weather goddess. And now she's a queen. So when we speak to the themes of X-Men, which are about intolerance, she kind of has to be an observer because she's not really one of the oppressed anymore. She wants to be there, she wants to help, but none of the things the X-Men have to deal with will ever affect her again.
The characters are joined by Emma Frost, who had previously been a villain, and she has telepathic powers.
And she also has a secondary mutation, which allows her to turn her body diamond hard.
And finally, we have a new X-Men named Hisako, and her code name is Armor, and she has this sort of psychic armor that protects her from anything.
Also see her learn about mutants and about, does she have a responsibility as a mutant, you know? Does she need to become an X-Man? You know, does she need to learn about her powers? She grapples with all those issues.
The X-Men started out and will always be a family. Whether it is that, you know, Cyclops being the headstrong leader who's trying to do the right thing but has his own personal self-doubt, or whether it is a character like Beast who is the smartest one on the team but unfortunately, you know, is blue and covered with fur, or whether it's a very dominating and alluring character in Emma. You know, any of those characters along the way, they each sort of bring out facets of a family that you know.
For anyone who's ever been part of a minority, no matter what that is, if it's a race or a religion or a, you know, sexual identity, if you've ever felt like you're other, you can understand the X-Men.
The reason why people relate to these characters is a combination of understanding what it is to be an outsider and feeling like what it is to be in a family.
The X-Men are that touchstone with that feeling, and also the idea that you can overcome and you can do the right thing and you can be amazing.